Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment.
I have heard so many things running around, from so many different people. One of the first questions is the amount of money that was loaned to the hospital. Was that approved? If so, how much?
1 million.
It was 1 million. What was their reasons for wanting, if there was a public meeting on this that was in the paper, I did not see it. And so I could have asked these questions then, and so I'm sorry if this is repetitious. But many people are wanting these answers that they've said, well, what are they going to use it for? What's the purpose of that loan?
Well, I guess, kind of in a nutshell, they're gonna change some beds from the nursing home to a critical access, which they'll get more money on for Medicare. And I guess basically what it amounts to that they say they won't be getting any payments during this period of time, and so they call it the bridge. They wanted to bridge this,
$1 million?
and that's what it was. Maybe somebody else can offer something, but that's basically.
What they're doing is they're changing the use from those nursing bed homes to a critical access hospital. And what they do is when they change those beds, your payments for your nursing homes, those get suspended until you get it changed over. So you're not getting your Medicare number. So then when they do the changeover, they have a 3 to 6 month evaluation period where they don't get any payments for those beds because they're coming in and evaluating what their system is. And then at the end of those months, then they get a lump sum payment.
So then
So that million is to bridge the 6 to 9 months that they're not getting anything for that. And then when they get done with that transfer, right now, Medicaid is only covering 16% of the hospital. 84% of it comes from nursing home. So when they change it, that everything will be covered by the Medicaid, Medicare. You get paid for your rooms no matter how many people you have in there. So what it does is it takes the risk away from the nursing home, because if your nursing home population falls below a certain amount, then you don't get as much money from on the reimbursement for that. So basically, it's kind of like when you go on unemployment, you don't work for 2 weeks and then you get a check, except for it's a longer period of time.
okay, so some of that will probably be paid back within 9 months. Maybe.
Yes, there's a lump sum that comes back, yes, and then that would get paid back to the county, and then after that, then the payments start monthly.
Okay, I see what you're saying, because I do know the government is very involved in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The other loans that the county has made to the hospital, were those paid back with PILT money?
With PILT?
PILT.
Yeah, payback, well, there was some PILT money that was given to the hospital that wasn't paid back. There's this IGT and,
600,000.
there was 2 loans that were forgiven. That was given to the hospital in 12, and then they come back and they were forgiven, so they didn't have to pay those.
Wow.
And that $400,000 one, the county made the first 2 payments, and they've been making payments after the first 2.
The hospital has.
Yeah.
So altogether, the county has, even if it's PILT money, it's county money that's going to the hospital. Are these things, after what I read in the paper that the one gentleman wrote, that it wasn't even legal? This loan was not even legal.
Well, we've heard that. I guess what it is, they're not calling it a loan, they're calling it an investment.
Lois, if I may, the Franklin's mistaken on so many levels. One, this isn't a loan to the hospital.
Oh, that's what it said in the paper.
It's an investment,
Well,
actually.
they've never said that to my knowledge.
Right. It is, if you read the resolution, and it's in our minutes, it's actually an investment in healthcare is what this is, and it is a bridge loan to actually stave off and help the hospital through the 6 to 9 month period that Mike just told you about. He's 100% right on. But what you need to understand is, we have very limited abilities to invest any of the money that we have. CDs are 7 to 10 years, and right now we're getting an average of 1.6% interest. So what we'll be getting with this bridge loan investment in the hospital is 3% interest, so almost double in 5 years. So
In
half the
5
time.
years.
Exactly. Now, there's a bulk payment due in 1 year, and then after that, it's a monthly payment back. So that's the first thing. The second thing is no, none of the other loans have ever been paid back with PILT. Absolutely not. Now, there was never, ever a loan that was forgiven. What we did is we gave a grant to the hospital because when it first closed in 2011, we had people coming in here in hordes wondering what was going on. The meetings were closed. They were not sharing with the public what was happening.
That's bad.
It was horrible. So what we did is we said, yes, we are going to go ahead and give you this money only if you open your doors and start communicating with the public. It was the only hammer we had to get them to start abiding by open meeting laws and communicating with the public. And yeah, I think that's it.
What was the
So-
amount of the grants that were forgiven?
There was one, and it was
One.
120,000, and it was one of those things where they came to us and said, we can't make payroll. That was in 2011, and we didn't have any time. Yes, it was totally legal. We worked on everything we did with the county attorney. And that was 120, was the 11th hour to cover payroll, and we said, you are only getting this if you open your doors and start communicating with our citizens.
I can see why that needed to be, why there had to be, the hospital needs to be open. We need to have a hospital here.
And they have ever since. Their meetings are totally open.
Okay.
And there were 6 meetings about this bridge loan investment in healthcare. 6 public meetings.
Were those advertised in the paper?
They were, and there were 2 of them at night. So we tried to get not only during the day, but also at night. We had them in the morning, the afternoon, and at 5 o'clock twice.
And they are now in the legal part, which I didn't realize, because I haven't been seeing the commissioner meetings in the paper. The last 2 have not been, I don't think, in the paper. And so,
They
that's-
have been sent.
okay, that's what I always read, and I guess I'm gonna have to start reading the legals. And I'm just, because I'm hearing so many things, I'm one of these people that really wants to know the truth about what is going on. The legal issue, you said this thing was legal because it was changed from calling it a loan to an investment of health care.
It was legal regardless. Herb Argabright is mistaken. What he is writing is if we decide to go out and get a loan if we wanted to go out and get a loan from State Bank to give to the hospital, that we would have to, at a certain threshold, go to the citizens and get a vote. We have the money in our CDs, so we're not getting a loan. What he's
No,
talking about
right.
is us going out and getting a loan. We're not. So it's the legalities of it. We're totally in line with the law. Corey wrote a 3-page memo that says we're totally in line with the law. Crowley Fleck wrote a 4-page memo saying we're totally in line with the law. It is 100%
I
legal.
wish those things could be put in the paper so that people know, because you know what, when there gets to be so much, from so many people that are very concerned, because we all watch our money so closely. Was the withdrawal penalty from the CDs, I'll bet you that was astronomical.
No, it wasn't.
Really?
Yeah, DA Davidson can actually waive those penalties. We have
Oh.
so much business that I'm not worried about that at all.
They
The
do.
interest is going to be between 12 and 17,000.
Oh, that isn't bad for $1
No,
million.
and the hospital's gonna pay that. So
Okay.
we're not losing anything.
Oh, well, that's interesting, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I guess that's the only other thing that I've taken notes on this, and I'm glad to hear what's been said, and I will, as people get to talking about this, I'll pass on as much of this as I know is fact.
I'd be happy to send you the paperwork, Lois. I can send you the memos, I can send you the resolution, I can send you the minutes. Has it all in there if you want. And then you have it just in black and white. And it's,
Well, I tell
actually
you what,
valid.
I've gotten so cynical because of so many other issues that we've had even within the county. And so, one of the things that I wish, it's positively illegal for people on state highways to be letting water from irrigation systems run across the highways. It's illegal. Nothing has ever been done about that. It's not being enforced, and people can get enforced for wearing a seatbelt. Another thing is the bees that these cutter bees that they have, they're asking people to graze those cutter bees so that the farmers will have for their alfalfa or whatever. Those cutter bees are drilling into the sides of our windows and getting into our siding. They're going through the grout on the edges. Well, things like that, they really tick me off.
I don't blame you, Lois. That's
So,
awful.
if those things were happening, we had 6 holes, I tried to cover them up and they drilled right back through, so we finally got a sprayer, but we tried to spray, but I don't understand why some of these things are happening and public doesn't know about it, like the watering across the roads. Some of the people are very influential, and I'll probably get in trouble for even asking that, but they're not being enforced.
Dana's
Why?
been working on that and he is doing everything he can,
And there are
but you're
methods to
right.
stop that, because
Yeah.
they can put stuff on those pivot guns, or the guns.
But on these other questions, Lois, I am gonna send you the paperwork and that way you can do with it as you will, but you'll have the facts right in front of you.
And thank you for allowing me to ask those and getting some answers. Thank you, guys, and you have a good morning.
Thanks,
Thank
Lois,
you.
thanks for
Leave you
asking.
alone now. Okay.
Any other public comment? Any updates?
Let's see, I went to the city council meeting discussing the installation of 7th Street Hospital Board, and got a couple of complaints on mosquitoes and weeds over the weekend.
I was also at the city council meeting, very interesting meeting. Had some follow-up phone calls from folks in the neighborhood, and I referred them to Nicole. I don't know if you received any of those. I also attended the hospital board, district board meeting, also a very good meeting, that's a good board. And that was about it that I can remember off the top of my head.
This meeting is called business as usual on my part. Okay, the minutes, we have the minutes here for July 31st and August 2nd. Is there any additions or corrections to these?
Move to approve as submitted.
I'll second.
Move second to approve for both of the 31st and this, and the second, or, yeah, the second, okay. No other discussion? We'll vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay. 10 o'clock, we'll close our regular meeting for a public hearing to adopt a resolution for the amended budget year 2016, 2017. And I'll turn that over to you, Debbie.
Here's the original for signatures. Here's kind of in a nutshell, it says the same thing as a resolution, but gives a little more detail as to the funds and why. A lot of them were due to unexpected expenses that, when you first do your budget, you don't anticipate. I double checked with cash, and here's the most current cash for June. Looking pretty good. There are a couple in the negative, and only because either like the Deep Creek, we haven't gotten all our billing done, or we haven't received our fourth quarter entitlement. And I'm working on trying to figure out, because we got 2 quarters worth in May, and I'm not sure why we don't have our fourth quarter yet, unless it's because the state is saying they're having a hard time balancing their budget. So on that total sheet, it basically summarizes within each fund, increase, decrease, and why. Revenues are first in the fund, and then the expenditures are second. Trying to think of anything of major importance to point out. If there was a journal, I noted that to fix it. Otherwise, it's just increasing or decreasing revenue and expenditure authority. One, I guess maybe the biggest one to note is in PILT, didn't get the intergovernmental transfer budgeted last year. It got missed, and then I was out and didn't get that added until now. I think we're looking better this year than last year, for the most part. We don't have as many negatives in our cash, which will be good when they audit. But that was one thing that they wanted us to be careful of. Make sure our cash doesn't go over. But I think for the most part, everybody's worked really hard at making sure they didn't, which is good. With the exception of a couple. Not quite sure. We're still working on solid waste is one. Silos, and we think that's a conversion error. We're still trying to figure that one out, because it's similar to silos. And a couple of them, like I said, that didn't get the, haven't got all our quarterly payments received, or the decrypt, we haven't got that all billed yet.
So we don't have a cash report that we're using for building next year's budget, because we're still waiting on those revenues, correct?
Yeah, we're trying to balance all that. I monitor it, trying to keep
Right.
it going, but it's still kind of,
So this
Hard.
cash report is based on June 30th, 2016.
anything that would have been dated as of June 30th or hit the books. Last minute claims that we're still got a couple stragglers on, revenue that's come in that should be for June, the due tos or due froms that might have been received now, but then they have to hit. And a
Okay.
quarterly payment will be one of them. It hasn't come in either fiscal year, so I'm not sure what's going on with the state on that one.
Okay.
Other than I know they're having troubles, they said.
The state said they're having trouble balancing.
Balancing, they're not
So-
good, so I'm hoping that doesn't mean they're gonna cancel the fourth quarter. Other than just like they are.
I don't think they
I
can
don't think they
legally.
can. Mm-mm. I think it's just a matter of like us, we're trying to get all our things done timely,
Okay.
and they're still working on it. Cause that was last
But
year.
we know what those payments are.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just don't know what date they'll be coming.
Yeah,
Okay.
so.
No, if they just canceled that, I can imagine 56 counties would be filing some kind of,
Huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think the
I haven't
state
heard
wants that.
anything, so I don't think so, but, you know, like, we're good, and then all of a sudden, oh, we're not
Okay.
balancing, so. Try to guess, but, you know, guessing is always a bad thing when you don't know. Any questions?
On 4001, is that because we haven't received the insurance payment yet on the H? on
We
the
haven't got all the,
HPC?
yes,
Okay.
Mike was just in talking to me about that this morning.
Okay.
There's still some money he's waiting for. And there's still some work he's doing on it as well, so, but yeah, the 50,000, that's pretty much what it took from the hail damage. There's just a little bit more yet, he just is working on getting turned in and wait for insurance.
What's with 5712?
That is the silos, and I don't know if they were expecting to get another dock. Will revenue get paid reimbursement for a dock? Cause that looks like money we got for one of the docks from Goose Bay. And Sharon, so that's,
She
It's
got a
not revenue.
grant last year from the trust board for 80, which is close to this 99, or 88, I think, for 2 new gazebos.
okay.
But in working with BOR, they wanted EAs and EISs, and that became just a big headache. We reported it to Zinke, Secretary Zinke. But anyway, so she didn't get the gazebos, and they are literally on the verge of falling down. I will say Lee Holmes has stepped up and said, as long as we stay in the same footprint, they'll let us go ahead and just replace it, which is a no-brainer anyway. I think that's
I
what that
think that
is.
might be what it is.
Just
There
an
was something
unspent
to
grant.
do with,
And that's still there, it's not gonna go away, for
just didn't
next
get the
year,
revenue they expected
Right.
to get
Okay.
from all that.
because the project didn't happen
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah, but it will, because we have to for safety purposes.
So that'll be this year's, what we think will happen this year, which doesn't reflect in this. A couple others are, like Dina's, he thought they were gonna pay him for his grader and instead, so he thought he was gonna get a check, so on his, that's why it's decreasing, because they instead applied that credit towards the purchase of his new one. So instead of getting a separate check, it just decreased the cost of his new grader. So that's kind of why that's there, decreasing just a little bit. Anything that said we were gonna get revenue and we didn't, I had to change the revenue receiving authority.
Debbie, what's 2,900?
That's your pilt?
Oh, thanks. I knew that.
Yeah.
Thought.
Okay. Someone might have to look at twice too, 'cause like, you don't deal with them enough, you don't recognize them.
So the, in, the general fund, 3591, decrease revenue receiving authority, isn't that the same amount as our community service?
It's part of it.
Is that still pending from the city? Okay, but we still expect to get it,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Okay. And the 5,100, is that for, Board of Health?
Yes.
Okay.
Some of them are minor, but as long as they didn't receive it, I had to note it.
2180, is that district court?
Yes. And you can see when Corey has more cases, how it affects Val's, like a twofold. And some of this will change this year when we get her revolving fund set up for the actual jury. That'll change next year. And help her. New way of doing things from last year to this year.
Yeah, it's
Be
always
some
evolving.
Nice changes. Mhm. Learn some things. Bob was a wealth of information, so that'll be good to get some of that stuff going.
2372? What is that?
That's our permissive.
Oh, okay.
Permissive word general health. And what I think happened on those two, when I put the numbers in, I transposed the revenue from the general health for the permissive. So I had to adjust them to what it actually should have been.
Okay. Just in numbers changing, not
Yeah.
necessarily a reduction or,
Mm-mm.
okay.
No, I just had to change numbers to reflect the right amount of budget. And that one was, those two numbers are so close. And our actual cash is okay. We got our final June stuff, so that was a relief.
Well, thank you.
Doing the one mid-year, given authority, made this a lot shorter.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, almost quarterly would be good.
Mhm.
I think that would,
That make it
Lighten your
easier.
load.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and, you know, we're changing things this year, and I think it's made a difference
yeah.
in getting stuff in, so it's easier to, not everything all at once. just helpful for me, so it doesn't get all confused.
Okay, any questions, I guess? Thank you, Debbie, and
Any questions, let me know. You know where to find me. Don't leave very often.
okay,
If you have questions.
okay, well,
And I've got the resolution, so
right. Public meeting is closed, we'll go back to our regular meeting now. Decision to adopt a resolution for amended budget fiscal year 2016-2017. Any comments on that?
Nope, it's part of balancing the county books. I move that we adopt the resolution to adopt the budget amendments as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so then we'll accept the budget resolution as presented. Any more discussion? No more discussion, we'll go to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
So Mike, if you wanna hand that down to Franklin. Right there.
Okay, we're running a little late, but, COS review. No COS, this review?
Just the vote on the Lake Vista 4.
Okay, that's, well, I guess we, which was that one there now? We can jump ahead to it.
The new item, it was on the revised agenda.
Oh, okay, here it is, yeah. Okay, you wanna go ahead, Nicole?
Yep, short and sweet, I'm just here seeking your vote to affirm your conditional approval of the Lake Vista Lot 4 subsequent minor subdivision. I erroneously put it as Lake Vista Lot 3 on the agenda for last Wednesday the 2nd, but we went ahead with presenting it anyway.
Right, we approved it, and you were gonna change from 3 to 4, or 4 to 3, whichever it was.
Yeah.
Okay,
Since there was no public comment, no public in attendance, no public for the public hearing, and no public that addressed Nicole on this particular subdivision, it seemed a very easy way to make sure we cover the bases, that we're totally transparent, and correct that error. It looks a lot like Lot 3, it just happens to be Lot 4. So I will move that we reaffirm our decision of last week and approve preliminary plat for Lot 4 of Lakeview subdivision.
I'll second the motion.
moved and second to reaffirm our vote on the Lake Vista subdivision. Any more discussion? Not, we go to vote. All in favor? Motion carried.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, you bet. Yeah, I see, there was a mistake there, that bids for the ambulances to be the next week, is that correct?
It's not a mistake, we actually gave an extension based on the request of one of the people submitting bids.
Yeah, I mean, on the agenda here, it had open bids for the ambulance, which won't be.
Again, it's not an error because this was submitted Monday and the decision to give the extension was made on Wednesday. So you want to put that on for next Monday, Franklin?
It is, or there's a note in here for, on the agenda for the 14th. Okay. Public hearing to adopt resolution establishing fees for reimbursement of costs associated with tax lien sales and tax deeds procedures. We'll close our regular meeting now for the public hearing on that. Do we have any comments from the public on that?
Franklin, you might inform the public as to what it is, even for those on video, so that they are aware. Debbie gave a presentation on the other
She was-
resolution, now you just need to read this one so that you can inform the public. That's been constant practice.
Whereas Montana Code annotated Title 15, Chapter 17, authorizes counties to assess all costs associated with tax lien, sale, and tax deed proceedings against the property subject to tax lien, and the code specifies which cost may be assessed against the tax lien property, and specifies which cost may be assessed against the tax deed property, and where the Board of County Commissioners desires to establish an authority by law, a fee schedule for reimbursement of costs incurred in the tax lien sale, assignment, or redemption, process of tax deed proceedings, as well as preparation of tax deeds, quitclaim deeds, notice of conveyance, and realty transfer certificates. Now, resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Broward County hereby establish the following fee schedule for reimbursement of the county costs associated with tax lien sales and tax deed proceedings. The tax lien certificate for other than county, $50, tax lien sale assignment, $50, tax deed and realty transfer certificate, $25. Deed of conveyance and realty transfer certificate, $25. Quitclaim deed and realty transfer certificate, $25. Nothing else, we'll close the public hearing and go back to our regular meeting. Do we have a motion or comments to establish this resolution?
So who pays this, the person that files the lien or the person that files the
What it is, usually the person who takes a tax lien will pay the fee, then the property owner, if they redeem the taxes, will have to reimburse the person that paid the lien, and the fees actually, some of the fees come back to the county. Most of these would come back to the county. We don't, there's a 25, well, actually the law has just changed, and so that the person that does the lien will no longer pay them. It would be when it's redeemed, the fees would come back to the county for work that was done to
Okay.
do the lien or the tax deed or whatever. There's a, I think right now we have 15 properties that there's a tax lien on. Some of them we've had to manage for almost 3 years. One just got paid last week that was ready to go to tax deed, which is a 3-year process. And that particular person has probably called the office 30, 40 times to get a estimate on what it would cost to redeem their property, and you deal with them over and over and over again, and it's very time consuming. But what actually brought all of this on was the new laws that the legislature passed for this whole process. We have to, first of every August, we have to send out every delinquent taxpayer a notice that the county's gonna take a tax lien. We started out with 396, I think, letters that we had to send out. And a lot of those were just taxpayers that had forgotten to pay their second half, and they came in and paid. We got it down to 176 before we had to send a second letter telling them that the county is taking the tax lien. So that's over 500 letters we had to send out. And then when we do the tax lien, Ann has to record each one of those on the clerk and recorder side separately. So it's gotten very labor intensive to do all of this. I'm just the reason I brought this forward, I was just hoping it would make people a little more responsible on their taxes and a little more aware of what's going on. There's a lot of people who can pay, but they just won't. I guess they have better interest in the bank than I do. They're gonna save their money until they make enough to pay it. But Yeah, it's just gotten very labor intensive, and I'm just kinda hoping it will let people know if they don't pay their taxes, there is gonna be a consequence for it.
Okay,
I will move that we adopt the resolution with the new fee schedule for tax lien sales and tax deed procedures.
I'll second the motion.
okay, is it second to approve this resolution for tax sales and tax deed procedure? Any more discussion? No more discussion? We'll go to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we'll close our regular meeting again for a public hearing to adopt resolution setting fees for notification of delinquent taxes. I'll go ahead and read it off. Whereas Broadwater County Clerk Recorder Treasurer Office is responsible for sending out mandatory notice to delinquent taxpayers, and whereas mandatory notice should not cost all taxpayers money due to the inaction of certain taxpayers, and whereas Broadwater County already sends a friendly reminder for the second half taxes due, and whereas delinquent taxpayers should be responsible for the cost of the notification, and not all taxpayers as part of a budget item of the general fund. Now therefore, it be resolved by the county, Board of County Commissioners of Broadwater County, hereby authorize the clerk recorder treasurers to charge a $15 fee, one-time delinquent service fee per year for delinquent tax notices that have been mailed out as an attempt to collect property taxes as required by law. Whereas we are allowed reimbursement at a reasonable cost.
Just one comment, when we do the agenda, we advertise all the items on it, but it does have a caveat at the bottom that says these issues and times are subject to change. When we do a public hearing on an issue, we advertise in the legals that that public hearing will be at a particular time. I think we should be cognizant of that legal advertisement with the times of our public hearings. We're early for this next one, which is, I don't expect any public, but I think it's still important that we be cognizant of the fact that we advertised in the legals, and we need to adhere to that.
Okay, we'll recess for 5 minutes.
Franklin, we have mail to do. You've already closed the public hearing. You need to be following our legal ads. All I'm doing is bringing that to your attention.
Yeah,
No need to
10:45, so we got 5 minutes, so I thought we could just adjourn if
I would request that we take care of
Would rather,
mail rather than
adjourn,
adjourn
if
for
you'd
that
rather
5
do that.
minutes.
we could go through some mail items. That sounds okay, we'll go ahead and do a couple mail items. Here's from accounting, this is on, fuel bank, commissioners. This is from the board of investments, short-term investment pool, STIP annual confirmation. Authorized representative Doug Ellis. Do you have any remark on that?
Yeah, that, nothing's changed on that, I had a copy of that also, and just, it lists me and, should list Ann and Melissa also as my chief deputies to be able to do STIP transactions. So there's been no change.
Here's a second quarter report from MBAC that was mailed to the county.
Mike, what this is a rundown of the revolving loan fund that we have for the county, which was started by Del Schubring, 20 years ago or so. That money is used to help businesses start, and then they repay it. It's managed by MBAC. It's also separate loans that our area businesses have with them. And it actually is a rundown as well of our turn lane project, which will actually increase revenue for the county of about $27,000. We get that quarterly.
Couple MOUs. One is the Montana Wool Growers Association, in which our share this year is $1,015, and that's based on 2,031 sheep on the tax rolls. And then on the Stock Growers Association, our lot is $8,284, and that's based on cattle on the tax rolls, 16,569.
Move to approve the MOUs with both the wool growers and the stock holders association.
I'll second the motion.
They moved and seconded to sign the MOUs for both the stock growers and the wool growers association. No more discussion, go to vote, all in favor, motion passed.
Hey Brandon, did you get a message from Wynn about lunch today for your staff?
One of our detention officers informed us.
Oh, good,
I'm not-
okay.
I don't recall where she said that came from, but somebody's.
Jan Hubbard corralled the hospital auxiliary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's from them,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. They didn't take much corralling, just to let you know.
Yeah.
So it's down there. Yeah, there's two copies there. Okay, 10:45, go back to decision to adopt resolution establishing fees for notification of delinquent taxes. Comments, motions, and so on.
Are we in the public hearing or are you out of that?
We're out of that, we're in, yeah, we're on the decision to adopt resolution establishing fees for notification of public of delinquent taxes. We're through with the public hearing, it's been closed before. Do I have a motion for resolution fees for
I'll make a
notification?
motion to adopt the resolution establishing fees for notification of delinquent taxes.
Second.
Move and second to pass a resolution setting fees for notification of delinquent taxes. Discussion, no more discussion, we'll vote, all in favor? Motion passed. Public hearing about resolutions at 11 o'clock. So we have approved claims here in the amount of $48,014.67.
I'll make motions to pay claims and set them on.
Second?
Move to second to pay the amount of claims in the amount of $48,014.67. Go for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Couple more from the county, this is for Clairement phone charges. Mark for senior citizen here. This is the same, mark for the commissioners. This is from the county on postage meter. Commissioner, which is highlighted. From our Hesher Associates. Since police find and closed a ballot book containing all the pertinent contract documents with Hard Drive Construction Incorporated includes the required performance and payment bonds and insurance certificates as well as a notice to proceed. Please retain this booklet for your airport records.
Yeah. No.
Anybody want this rural Montana, or everybody getting these? Something else might want it, doesn't have vigilante, they always send out this little, most of us already have vigilante. This is on the, getting stuff already for 2020 census. Just
Nicole usually takes care of most of the census information. I don't know if you got a copy of that or not.
Okay.
You should have one.
I'll get it to her.
Franklin, it still needs to come through because it was addressed to the commission and it's public mail. And Mike, this is something the
Really
commission
interesting.
will be intimately involved with. There will be a lot on censuses. This is one of the most important things because it sets so much of our, what we do. Last year, or last census go-around, it was revealed after the census that we did indeed have 1 million people. That would have given us another voice in Congress that we never got because the census wasn't complete. So it is a big deal.
That census also helps us determine the precincts for voting. We have to check the precincts every so many years and make sure that, each precinct has about the same amount of voters. And that's kinda what we use to determine where the voters are and how to change our precinct boundaries.
Are you gonna give it to Nicole Ann, or do you want me to? Do you want this envelope? Because there's some envelopes and stuff, loose stuff in there.
While we're waiting for 11 o'clock, I am going to be in Idaho for the eclipse on the 21st. So just to let you guys know, we can either postpone our meeting till Wednesday, or you guys can still hold it on Monday. I've been planning this for some months now. And that's a Monday in 2 weeks.
There's much on the agenda yet, we can probably just go ahead and schedule as is.
I would request postponing if there isn't much in the way of business at that point, but it's up to you guys.
I'd be in
Oh.
favor of postponing.
On,
Something else going on that day.
I checked with Corey, and he hasn't got to that, but he will on that Longhorn Road on the access that's coming off of Antelope Drive. We talked about that the other day, you said it was on your list there. And then the other thing we talked about in the union negotiations, gonna be set up next 14th, I think it is, the next Monday meeting at 1 o'clock.
Does that work for you guys?
Yeah, I saw the email, so I put it on my calendar at that point.
At 1 or 1:30?
1.
Did you send a letter, Corey, to Longhorn on the, I think it was the 19th of June? And are we at the 30 days after point now? Or did that letter not get sent on the 19th? And we're kind of starting at that point.
I don't recall, I'm gonna have to look at that. I thought there was something that I was doing, Dana had a rule in that, but I don't know.
He did, I think, in March. He took care of his part. I think there's been a number of letters sent, and Nicole can give you the timeline. In June, we agreed that a legal letter would be served, and then after 30 days, we would determine the next step. So I'm just wondering if we're at the next step, or if we need to go back to sending the legal letter of the 19th of June and giving it another 30 days.
I'll have to look, I don't recall where we are right now.
So will we have a caucus prior to our meeting on the 14th? I think Erin said she'd be sending their counter proposal prior? What's the plan for that?
Can have, I guess nothing's changed on our part, so.
Well, it might make sense then to suggest a meeting at 2 o'clock and we have a caucus at 1 o'clock.
I think we should go in informed and having talked about it myself.
How do you guys feel about that? Caucus at 1 and meeting with the union at 2?
Okay.
Who's gonna let Erin know? She's
I'll email her right after this.
perfect.
Is that a yes on the 1 and the 2? Is that, we're gonna do that? Okay.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're about 2 minutes away from our 11 o'clock one, so we're gonna go ahead with our 11 o'clock. Public hearing to adopt resolution to set a special deputy to assist with the prosecution of the state versus Lloyd Barris. We'll close our regular meeting for this public hearing. You wanna come on up, Corey, and
I emailed the resolution to, I believe, you last week. I have a copy of it here as well if you don't have it. But this is the resolution that, the format's a little different than our normal ones, but it's the format that the Attorney General's office requested, so I stuck with that. And this is a pretty normal thing in terms of getting, when anytime the AG's office prosecutes a case in a county, they ask the county commission to do a resolution like this, authorizing them as special deputy county attorneys. We did it before on the Khan case in 2015. So I'll just ask the commission to adopt this, and that will authorize one or more lawyers from the prosecution bureau at the AG's office to assist me on the Lloyd Barris case. And then I may have a different case that we've been working on that we're close to filing, and I've had different prosecutors from the AG's office working with me on that one for quite a while. So I may be bringing you another one of these on a different case in a couple of weeks, but for now, this would be it.
If I recall, this is for 2 assistants, correct, from the AG's office?
Well, it may be more, it's depending. That's why they asked that we not put a specific name, but just the attorneys to the Prosecution Services Bureau, so that they can assign who they want.
Okay.
does this have to be read off? Maybe I should read this off. It's still in the public comment part.
If you want, I
Or if
mean,
you want
it's.
to- yeah, go ahead.
I can give this copy to Ann for the public record,
Yeah, okay.
but,
You wanna read it off then?
do you think I need to read it off?
Yeah, just for
Okay.
public comment.
Resolution, whereas the Broadwater County Attorney has requested prosecutorial assistance in the case of state against Lloyd Barris, and whereas it is desired and deemed appropriate a special deputy county attorney be appointed to assist in the prosecution of the aforementioned case, and whereas Montana Code Annotated 44-4-111 authorizes and contemplates the training coordinator for county attorneys and the Bureau Chief of Prosecution Services Bureau, together with the deputies within this bureau, act as special counsel on request of the county attorney and upon the approval of the Board of County Commissioners. And whereas Montana Code Annotated 215-501 sub 6 authorizes the Attorney General to provide assistance to county attorneys in the discharge of his or her duties, it is hereby resolved the attorneys assigned to Prosecution Service Bureau of the Department of Justice are hereby appointed as special deputy county attorneys for Broward County for the purpose of assisting in the prosecution of the aforementioned case, and that any of said deputies can fulfill the functions set out in 44-4-103. It is further resolved under the terms of this agreement No fee will be charged for attorney time provided by the